The Four Foodies, Part 3. So Bob had just been startled by Gretchen and had thrown a tortilla chip out of his hand that wasn't there before. It flew across the room. Straight into the wall where it broke into pieces. "Whoa," said Regina. "What just happened? Where did you get that tortilla chip?" "I have no idea," said Bob, who was feeling really startled and scared. I moved my hand when I was startled, and the tortilla chip just flew out of it." "Wait a minute," said Regina. "You mean you can make tortilla chips like I can make guacamole?" I guess so," said Bob. "I don't know how I did it, though." "Well, what were you doing?" said Regina. "I figured out that the way I position my hands changes the way the guacamole comes out. I have to be thinking about it, or I guess be in an emergency like when I saved you guys. Maybe it's something similar for you." "Well, let's see," said Bob. "I had my hand like this, and then when Gretchen startled me, I jerked it forward. And as he said that, another tortilla chip came spiraling out of his hand. But this one, when it hit the wall, it made a dent in the wall and stuck there." "What did you just do to my wall?" said Regina. I don't know," said Bob. "Sorry." Regina walked over to the wall and looked at the tortilla chip pieces on the floor. She picked one up and she ate it and said, "Wow, this is a great tortilla chip. Perfectly crunchy, just the right amount of saltiness. This would go great with my guacamole." Then she took the tortilla chip out of the wall and she tried to take a bite. "Ow!" she said. "This is so hard. It's like it's made out of metal." Sorry," said Bob. "I guess you're like me," said Regina. "You can make different types of tortilla chips just like I can make different types of guacamole." "But how do I figure out the difference?" said Bob. "Well, you'll have to experiment," said Regina, "but not in my house. Why don't we go to a park?" So the four friends put their movie on pause and went to a park. Stuart and Regina were throwing a frisbee while Bob Bob and Regina walked over to a couple of trees. "All right," said Regina. "So it looks like you have to move your hand like this, but maybe the way you move your wrist determines what kind of chip it will be." "Maybe," said Bob. So first he tried throwing a chip without moving his wrist at all. And that chip was a really, really hard one, just like the one that had dented Regina's wall. Then he tried throwing a chip while rotating his wrist at the same time. And the more he rotated his wrist, the softer the chip was. And so if he rotated it just the right way, it created a delicious tortilla chip, perfect for dipping. But if he did it without moving his wrist, it was very hard. And if he moved it the other way, it became even harder and sharper. He accidentally threw a tortilla chip straight through the tree. It was so hard and so sharp. "Wow," said Regina. "That's a pretty cool power. They're almost like ninja stars." "Yeah," said Bob. "I didn't even know I could do that." "Let's go over and play with with Gretchen and Stuart," she said. So they did. They went over. And before they started playing, Regina and Bob were warming up. And Bob did the motion that you do when you throw a frisbee to practice, and out of his hand flew a tortilla. Not a tortilla chip, but a whole tortilla. And it traveled through the air like a frisbee, but more smoothly and further than any frisbee he had ever thrown in his life. "What, you can make chips and tortillas?" said Regina. "You are Tortilla Boy." "Tortilla Boy," said Bob. "I guess that can be my nickname. But you are Guacamole Girl." "All right," she said. "Guacamole Girl and Tortilla Boy, best friends." And so instead of playing Frisbee, they played a game where Bob would throw a tortilla out of his hand and Regina would try and get it with her guacamole using different positions of her hand. Try and shoot the tortilla down with her guacamole. They had so much fun playing that. Then, finally, they were getting tired, so they walked over to Regina, to where Gretchen and Stuart were. "What is that smell?" said Regina. "What smell?" said Gretchen. "I can smell it now, too," said Stuart. "Oh, my eyes, my eyes hurt," said Stuart. "What?" said Gretchen. "Mine too," said Regina. "And mine," said Bob. Said said Gretchen. "I don't sense anything." And then she looked down and smelled her sweat. "Ooh, it smells like onions," she said. And that's the end of our story.